Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to talk to you briefly about dealing with negative emotions during your identity expansion. It's no secret that when you are trying to reach your goals, you will encounter friction. And friction is part of part of the journey. And actually being aware of that is so beneficial. It is important so that we have the proper expectations and we do not stop or we do not hinder ourselves from the necessary expansion of our identity required to sustain the entry into a new level. I'm going to show you quickly what this looks like with our model, and then we are going to talk about how to deal with those negative emotions. So if you're new to this channel, of course, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And if you're a return viewer, you already know what this looks like, right? My very simple model. I'm going to call this one Kara now, right? Kara 1.0 has some goals, right? She wants to get to um, uh, a realm that is in the 2.0 land, and to operate successfully and sustainably in a realm of 2.0, she needs to update her identity to match the realm that she wishes to enter, the realm of the different outputs that she desires, the desired outcome. Of course, to get from 1.0 to 2.0, there is necessary friction, right? So friction is the external resistance to your desired identity or outcome, the external resistance. And as a recap, we talked about some basic frictions, internal friction, right? We talked about the push-pull of fear and faith, right? We talked about fear and faith. And faith propels you towards your new identity, whereas fear tries to uh, bring you back, make you regress to a previous identity. And these equal pole keep you grounded and stabilized in your current reality, right? And so to go from 1.0 to 2.0, the first thing that we need to do is to reduce our anxiety and fear about the future, about who we can be, who we can become, right? The kind of person, the kind of identity that it takes to exert a distortion field on reality sustainably in 2.0. And then not only do we need the escape velocity to expand our identity, so that's the goal. I've said it so many times now that our goal is to expand our identity. Not only do we want to expand our identity, we want the escape velocity of the courage or the faith that we have within us to go beyond the external resistance that we will face. And when we have enough courage, boldness, confidence, faith, belief, right, in ourselves, in God, in the direction we are taking, trusting that things will work out, right, we are able to uh, push past the friction that occurs naturally as a result of wanting to change our circumstances, change our identity, to enter into a new reality. So it's important to understand that the external resistance is coming from the new reality. It's coming from the new reality. The new reality uh, will exert its own pressure on you, uh, on you entering into its space, you entering into this new new version of yourself, right, it will be challenged. There will be setbacks. And that's important because that's the first test. The first test is the external resistance test is to be certain that you are who you say you are, right? So the friction that you will encounter will test the integrity. Let's put it this way: the integrity of your identity. Are you operating with 1.0 version 1.0 identity in a 2.0 realm, or 2.0 destiny, or a 2.0 outcome that you're looking for? 2.0 is definitely going to apply some pressure to test that metal, to test who you say you are, right? This is why if you have a very far-fetched dream, and I say far-fetched because you have no actual grounded goals and actually wanting to get there, right? You're just interested in the idea, the space of that place, but you have not developed the understanding of the identity and how to shape yourself into the kind of person that can exert that kind of distortion field in that outcome, in that realm. Then what's going to happen is you're gonna encounter some serious tough times, right? Let's say you are trying to be the number one athlete in your particular domain. You're gonna go through some tough times. That's gonna test: are you sure about what you want? Are you the kind of person that is supposed to be that? Are you the kind of person that can operate at this level of output, of talent, of discipline, right? And if you're operating in a 1.0 perspective, if you're operating in a 1.0 identity, it won't take long for you to regress backwards. The realm will not sustain it. In fact, you won't even reach there because you'll already feel the tug of 2.0. But perchance you get to a 2.0 realm, this will be your identity will be so tested that there's only two possible outcomes. It's either you stay or you regress, right? And if you stay, obviously you won, and your identity is 2.0. You survive. So this is more of like the brute force. You jump in and you figure it out, and you don't collapse in on yourself, and instead you. Let me show you what that looks like visually. Okay, so a way this works is that if you if you are in a new space and by brute force you made it in there and you're still carrying the old identity, there's going to be a lot of pressure put on you to test your identity, right? And if you survive, you can move to 2.0. But and that basically just keeps this is not a movement in your identity, this is a movement in your version, right? Because you're already here. But what I'm saying is you get stabilized, or you collapse, right? You collapse back to the real you, which is a 1.0 version of you. This is like a virtual you that is about to be 2.0. So how do we deal with negative emotions? And I think the first thing is to be self-aware. Be self-aware. You're not going through hard times because there's something wrong with you, or that everyone else has it easier, and that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. Things are tough because you are actively trying to change things and you are meeting resistance. Now, there are different explanations for things. Yes, I'm just keeping things very simple for the sake of this teaching, for the sake of this perspective, this framework for understanding reality, right? You should be self-aware that any any kind of change in your identity, that delta in your identity will bring about pain, will cost, will come at some cost to you, right? And that's okay. Just be aware of it, take note of it, and have a plan. Create a plan. That's what I would say, is create a plan to sustainably deal with this. Um, and sometimes the plan could be brute force. It could be a brute force approach. And how? Let me give an example. You're dropped into a very high pressure sales opportunity. You have no background experience, but the opportunity has been given to you. It's either sink or swim, right? It's either sink or swim, fight or flight, fear or faith. And you say, you know what? I'm not going to sink. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. You brute force your way across pain, across the cost to your personal life, your time, right? And you're self aware. You know, like this, you're being deliberate, right? You're being deliberate. You're being intentional about all of this cost, right? And in the course of time, your your current identity is changing to your new identity, and it's going to be painful. But knowing fully well that with that brute force, and you have a plan that you're sticking to, you're fully aware that this is there's I'm getting a benefit from this. uh, Eventually you will be upgraded, right? The second thing is to is to is to be grateful, right? Is to be grateful and to see and the to see the outcome before you even get there. See the person you are becoming and be appreciative. See that this kind of person is what is who you need to become to get to your solution. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So it's that self awareness, but it's also the gratitude. It's that humility of, I know I'm going through this, and I'm appreciating God. I am thankful for the people around me for this opportunity, right? And that gratitude opens up your identity for more. It's exploring new paths, because once again, it's self-aware, but it's also acknowledging that this path is the necessary path, right? So gratitude, humility, right? And humility will lead to that teachable identity that can lead to that faster expansion. And to be honest with this part, it's also being aware that diamonds are formed under pressure. You need pressure to recalibrate your identity if you're going for a brute force sink or swim uh, direction or method. And a lot of times you just need to have an escape. So I would say write, journal, get your feelings out. Don't let all of your identity be filled with these corrosive, um, corrosive waste, right? Corrosive results or reactants, whatever you want to call it. The output of all of this effort, there's going to be something that's expelled, something something that is building up. There's going to be a buildup of emotions, right? Let me erase that. So there's going to be a buildup somewhere, right? And you need to evacuate those emotions, right? There's going to be byproduct of all of this effort, and sometimes journaling is a good way to just expel emotions that are building up in your identity space, you know. Um, and if you don't write or expel or talk to someone, you just need to get those emotions out. Maybe it could be a relaxation, a spa, um, a massage, you know. anything to release tension, to release negative emotion. Some people cry, right? And that's a big one. You just want to expel all of these emotions in a positive way, right? In an acceptable and yeah, positive way, not anything diabolical or grotesque, right? Um, the reason why the way I like to think about this is if all of these things build up, they will eventually harm your ability to continue to change your identity, because a lot of those things are not properties of the identity you desire that can influence the realm that you want to be operating in, right? Whether that realm is a realm of abundance, a realm of discipline, motivation, of of better skills and better marketability and better value to the marketplace, whatever that is, right? That those properties will begin to be friction. They will start to become weight as they build up in the current identity. They will start to slow down your ability to go to reach 2.0. You'll be at 1.0 and you'll start to feel extra friction, extra resistance. And it's not going to be external, it's going to be a buildup of different emotions, um, exhaustion. You might have exhaustion in this way. Look, let's just call it exhale. You can have annoyance, um, envy, right? And these are just like very corrosive buildup of emotions that are not pushing your identity in the right direction, actually resisting further over time your identity expansion. This will explain why people, right, who are super competitive and have this ego in the workplace, they start to they start to no longer innovate as much as they should. They're looking for shortcuts. They're no longer authentic. They're not pursuing things genuinely with the love of which with love for the game. They're just more concerned about competition, and sometimes for a limited time they get what they want, but until they address certain things, they're not going to be the best version of themselves. And being the best version of yourself is how you excel, is how you reach your potential, right? And so we have to deal with this. And sometimes this could mean therapy. This could involve talking to a coach. I recommend talking to someone, whether it's a friend, a family, or a professional, right, to help you manage what's going on the inside. So this is how you can start to think about why you need to deal with negative emotions. Remember, become self-aware. Simply take note of how you're feeling, right? Be grateful, right? These challenges don't happen to people who are not trying to expand their identity. And you should write um, a journal, which is just a method for expelling buildup of negative emotions. You're going through your identity expansion. It costs something. There's just like when you burn gas in the vehicle, there's an exhaust to get rid of all of that vile waste, right? So I hope this is helpful in thinking about your identity and your plan for expanding your identity. And remember, it's not going to be easy, but if you know what you want, if you've got a plan, and there's a place in life that you want to get, there's a potential that you know is in you that you are yet to uncover. The next level is at the end of is the next level that you want to is within grasp. It's within that delta of your identity change, your identity transformation. So with all of that said, thank you for staying this long. I will see you in the next video. Bye.